Alright guys, so serious topic today, like all the others, but today is going to answer the question that a lot of people always ask, and I always see people share Bible verses on YouTube pages and on mine as well. So the question is answered: why I choose Zeus over Jesus. So there's no beating around the bush in today's video, and I'm sure a lot of you people that watch this have similar stories and similar reasons as well. So the first thing is, why, if I don't choose Christianity or Jesus, why am I not just an atheist? The reason being is that I believe in deity. I believe in the idea that everything didn't happen just by accident, that there was a quote unquote divine hand or hands behind the reason we're here. So that has not been shaken at all. So the other question is, then why do I just not follow another path of the major religions, such as Islam, Buddhism, XYZ? The reason being is that I believe in creation and in divinity, but I also do not believe that it was all created by one being, that there were several beings of male and female, in our way of saying it, male and female divinity, we'll just put it that way. So that knocks out the monotheism and knocks out male monotheism as well. Because you look and you just see male and female all over the place. And to me, I think that nature helps reflect what its creator is. And even plants have male and female parts in it. So there's so much male and female to it that over time it's just led me to figure out for myself, not for you, but for my own personal spiritual self, that I believe in polytheism, that it was not just one that created it all, but that everything we see and everything we are reflects our creators. And that is what had me lead to polytheism. And what led me to Hellenic Polytheism is that these are gods that were worshipped and that were worshipped by people today. These are not cartoon characters. Zeus and Hera and Hermes and Poseidon, these have been turned by mainstream into cartoon characters and comic books and video game characters and so forth. But these are real gods that people worshiped back then, so they haven't changed. People's idea, through different reasons, changed their view over time by the mass majority of who and what these gods are, but they were gods. And I've always had a connection with the gods who are traditionally known as great gods, such as Zeus and Hera and all that. And I've also been turned off by the history of Christianity, of how it actually spread through the ancient world. We're always taught about how, or we live in a dream world where ancestors and people were converted through the word, kind of like today. We think that modern Christianity is a reflection of ancient Christianity, how it was all about everyone going to church and bringing their friends to church, and it spread that way, that they heard it through them and wanted to know more. That is true in an extent. That is true. That did happen even back then, but that's not the only way it was ever, the mass majority was reached, we'll say. There were still people that were force converted through politics. Whenever, like, the leaders of countries and towns, whenever they became Christian, they outlawed, we'll call pagan practices and pagan, and they shut down temples and made it against the law to follow other gods, even to the point of death. You know, you always hear about Christians fed to the lions. They would turn around and they fed the pagans to the lions as well right after that. So you could say that's karma, but that's still something that was done. But yeah, when you find out through history that it wasn't peaceful, it wasn't always a peaceful conversion, that there was so much bloodshed and tears and forcefulness behind it, that it's not what you think it is. You know, it kind of makes you disgusted in a way. And then the teachings itself. So you can say that, yeah, that's just the people, but what about the actual gospel? Here's the thing, is that I don't agree with that as well. So that knocks that out the window too. So I don't agree that man is sinful from birth, that we have something to be ashamed of for being who we are, that we all have to be one thing, that everyone has to conform and believe and do in one thing, or you're going to go to hell. And if you don't do it, if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell. That's all it takes. All it takes is not believing in Jesus. It doesn't matter what else you do in life. You're going to go to hell. And I don't like that. I don't believe that, and I don't like that. And I don't concern myself with death. And that's another thing. A lot of people that follow Christianity are worried about death. And no one knows the answer. You can give... I've said this in other videos, that you can give 1,000 things that are going to happen to you in death, but nobody knows until it happens. Like I said, I can go into a whole other topic in itself, because scientists have other explanations of why people see a white light and such when they die. That it's just like the oxygen in your brain being deprived of oxygen is the reason why everyone sees a white light. So you can go into every reason. Everyone has theories on death and why things happen when you die. But yeah, so just not only just the history or the people, but it's just the teachings as well I don't agree with, that we all have to conform and basically only believe in one thing. And you also see a lot of cultures being wiped out too, that it affects the people, but it also, individuality of culture also disappears as well. And it's sad. It's sad when that happens. And the big reason, and the main reason why I choose Zeus over Jesus, is that I find spiritual fulfillment in it. That people worship with a thankful heart in churches, and I do the same thing in my life. It is the same kind of awe and reverence and thankfulness for life. It's not, and it's the same peace that you feel whenever you pray in churches. It's the same kind of peace and that you get. And it's not also prayers to keep me on the straight and narrow. You know, they always say that you always need to pray to God that you don't fall off the wagon, you know. And there is no wagon to fall off on. I don't pray and worship and honor the gods for saving me. I thank them for life. I thank them for being. I thank them for friends. I thank them for everything that everyone else does. It's just that I am who I am, and I was born this way, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a lot of self-hate whenever you start trying to change something that you naturally are. And we don't need to be that way, because that's a lot of mental damage. That's gives you a lot of mental abuse. And that's something we don't need, and that's something that I had for a long time. I remember always feeling bad, being afraid that if I did something, it was going to lead to something worse, you know. And I'm more free where I'm at now than I ever was when I grew up as a Christian kid going to church. So it's not an attack on Christianity. It's just that I live in America, and that's the number one thing that everyone is. And that's the number one thing that I get people who write to me on Facebook. They put Bible verses, so that's an answer to that. So never disrespect to that if that's your thing, then that's your thing. live and let live. And I very much know these verses because I grew up with them. And these are the reasons why I took a different path. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.